The night was cloaked in an oppressive darkness, the moon obscured by heavy clouds that promised a storm. A lonely stretch of highway wound through the dense woods of Blackwood County, its silence broken only by the distant rumble of thunder and the occasional chirp of unseen creatures. A state transport bus carrying a group of psychiatric prisoners rumbled down this isolated road. The driver, weary from hours of navigating the desolate terrain, glanced at the clock. Midnight. He sighed, eager to reach their destination and end his shift. Inside the bus, the prisoners were shackled and subdued, their faces a mosaic of vacant stares and simmering rage. Among them was Edgar Harlow, a man whose name sent shivers down the spines of those who knew his story. Convicted for a series of gruesome murders, Harlow was known for his cunning mind and relentless brutality. Suddenly, a deer darted onto the road, its eyes reflecting the headlights in a flash of panic. The driver swerved, tires screeching as the bus careened off the road, plowing into the thick underbrush. Metal groaned and glass shattered, the vehicle finally coming to a halt as the forest closed in around it. Harlow's eyes snapped open, a predatory smile curling his lips. Amid the chaos and groans of injured prisoners, he saw his chance. The crash had damaged the bus's security system, and with a few deft movements, he freed himself from his restraints. The guards, disoriented and injured, were no match for him. Harlow moved through the wreckage like a wraith, silencing any who dared to stop him. Bloodied but determined, he slipped into the forest, vanishing into the night. In the small town of Hollow Creek, the Miller family was settling in for the night. Tom and Sarah Miller were in the living room, the soft glow of the television casting flickering shadows on the walls. Upstairs, their children, Lucy and Max, were fast asleep, their innocent dreams untouched by the darkness lurking just beyond their doorstep. Sarah glanced at the clock and sighed.
It's getting late, Tom. We should head to bed.
Tom nodded, yawning as he stretched.
You're right. Just let me lock up.
As Tom secured the doors and windows, a sudden gust of wind rattled the panes. He paused, a chill creeping up his spine, but shook it off his nerves. He had no way of knowing that Harlow was already in their backyard, watching and waiting. Harlow moved with a predator's grace, slipping into the house through an unlocked window in the basement. He could hear the soft murmur of voices above, the creak of floorboards as Tom and Sarah made their way to bed. His heart pounded with anticipation, his mind already savoring the fear and pain he was about to unleash. He moved through the house silently, a knife glinting in his hand. He reached the master bedroom first, pushing the door open with a slow, deliberate motion. Tom was the first to notice, his eyes widening in horror as he saw the dark figure looming in the doorway.
Sarah, run!
He shouted, but it was too late. Harlow was on them in an instant, his knife slicing through the air. Tom fought valiantly, but Harlow's strength and madness were overwhelming. Blood sprayed across the room, Tom's final gurgling scream echoing in Sarah's ears. She tried to flee, but Harlow was relentless. He caught her in the hallway, his cold eyes locking onto hers.
Please.
She begged, tears streaming down her face.
Don't hurt my children.
Harlow's smile was devoid of any humanity.
They'll join you soon enough,
he whispered, plunging the knife into her chest. Sarah's body crumpled to the floor, her life extinguished in an instant. Upstairs, Lucy and Max awoke to the sounds of their parents' struggle. Lucy, the older of the two, pulled her brother close, her heart racing.
We have to hide, Max. Be very quiet.
They crept into the closet, huddling together as the footsteps grew closer. Harlow ascended the stairs, his mind a maelstrom of violent impulses. He could hear the faint breathing, the whimpers of terror, and it only fueled his bloodlust. He pushed open the door to the children's room, his gaze sweeping over the small beds before settling on the closet.
Come out, wherever you are,
he sang softly, the words dripping with malice. Lucy clutched Max tighter, her breath hitching in her throat. The closet door swung open and Harlow's shadow loomed over them.
Found you,
he said, his voice a chilling hiss. Lucy tried to shield her brother, but Harlow's cruelty knew no bounds. The knife descended again and again, the children's screams piercing the night. The storm finally broke, rain lashing against the windows as sirens wailed in the distance. Harlow stood in the center of the carnage, his chest heaving with exhilaration. The house was silent now, save for the patter of rain and the distant approach of police cars. He slipped out into the storm, disappearing into the night, leaving behind a scene of unimaginable horror. The Miller family's home, once a haven of warmth and love, was now a tomb of silence and blood. In Hollow Creek, the name Edgar Harlow would become synonymous with terror, a reminder that sometimes the greatest monsters are not born, but made. And in the darkness of that stormy night, the town learned that evil can strike without warning, leaving only echoes of screams and the cold certainty that safety is but an illusion.